I used to think cables were just for people taking it easy, whether to protect their joints or avoid real weights. But over the last few years of my training, my perspective has completely changed. The truth is, both cables and dumbbells have their strengths and weaknesses, but knowing how to use them can make a huge difference in your training. So today I'm going to break it all down, the pros, the cons, and which one is better for building muscle. Cables and dumbbells may look like completely different tools, but they're both designed to help you do one thing: build muscle. The way they work, however, is very different. Cables provide constant tension throughout the entire range of motion. So when you're at the stretch position or the fully contracted position, it's enacting the same amount of force the entire time. Dumbbells, on the other hand, rely on gravity, so the resistance changes depending on the angle of the exercise. With dumbbells, the hardest part of the movement is usually the midway point, while the stretch and the contraction can feel a bit easier. So it would seem that cables are a clear winner. But here's where things get a little more interesting. They each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and that's greatly dependent on how you use them. Dumbbells are great for all sorts of exercises. More specifically, they're really good for compound lifts. Things like a chest press or a shoulder press is where the dumbbells really shine. Dumbbells are super easy to progress by either increasing in weight or increasing in reps. So if you're trying to build overall strength, dumbbells are really hard to beat. Cables, on the other hand, are really good for isolation movements. They allow for a lot of control at the stretched and contraction part of the exercises. They're also known to be safer for your joints and better for injury prevention. Cables specifically are known well for their muscle isolation and being able to keep it under tension no matter what the position is. And while they have different pros and cons, this is where things get a little confusing for me. Cables are known for being able to isolate the muscles and keep everything under tension. But let's go ahead and talk about one specific exercise, the chest fly. So you can either do them with dumbbells or you can do them with cables. And while these exercises are targeted at the same exact muscles, they work them out in slightly different ways. And here's why it gets a little confusing. Personally, I like to do my flies with dumbbells. That's because I feel that the stretch and the tension in that portion of the movement is so much greater than it is with cables. Not only do I feel like I get a better pump, but I feel like overall it's working better for me. When you have to do a chest fly with cables, you have to step in front of the machine, so it adds a couple factors. When doing it lying down on a bench with dumbbells, I feel like it isolates the muscle much more effectively. But like we talked about with dumbbells earlier, you lose that resistance profile the closer you get to coming over your chest. So is one really more effective than the other in building muscle? Well, studies in the past have shown that free weights and machines lead to about the same amount of muscle growth, so I feel like you can apply it to this situation as well. So there might not be any advantage to doing cable flies over dumbbell flies. This is just a personal preference of mine. And I feel like this is one of the most important parts. If there's a specific exercise that you like to do with dumbbells, but you don't like to do with cables, then continue to do them with dumbbells. And vice versa. If you like to do something with cables and you don't like to do them with dumbbells, then stick to doing them with cables. Whether somebody tells you one's going to lead to more or less muscle growth, if you like to do the exercise, then I would say just stick to that. You can apply this scenario to all sorts of different movements. Take lateral raises, for example. For many years, I primarily trained my side delts through lateral raises with dumbbells. Within the last 6 months or so, I started using a cable variation. Not only have I been able to progressively overload this specific movement and gain strength, but I also think that I've gained size and muscle mass in my side delts since starting this movement. And I almost 100% attribute that to keeping tension in that stretch position, where the dumbbells just fall short in this specific workout. I'm not telling you to ditch dumbbells completely with this exercise. I'm saying you should definitely give it a shot, try everything with dumbbells and with cables, and see which one works best for you. Over time, I realized it's not cables versus dumbbells, it's more so using the right tool for the right job. And I also think that applies to the person using the tool. Different tools might work differently for different people. So in some cases, you might build more muscle doing a chest fly with cables, or you might build more muscle doing with dumbbells. If I had to put a label on both of them, I would say stick to dumbbells for compound lifts and then use cables for more isolation movements. But more importantly, do what works best for you and what feels the best for you. Exercises that you enjoy doing are going to help with the progressive overload process and are going to help you stay consistent with your workouts. So which one's better, cables or dumbbells? Well, the answer is not so clear cut. I think it's more important that you actually use both of these tools. For me, I'm going to stick to dumbbells when I'm doing things like chest presses, overhead shoulder presses, dumbbell chest flies, and I like to use cables when I'm doing bicep curls, tricep push downs, overhead tricep extensions, lateral raises, and much more. I do think you get the best workouts when you combine the best of both worlds. Let me know down in the comments, are you guys team dumbbells? Are you team cables? Which exercises do you like to do with each one? If you guys enjoy the video, click on one of the other videos on the screen here, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you all in the next one.